kicked off very quickly here with the World Climate Declaration. There is no climate emergency. This comes from the Global Climate Intelligence Group, and it was originally released in February. We reported it at the time. So why are we mentioning it now? Well, because a laureate of the Nobel laureate for physics, Dr. John F. Clauser, has decided to sign this. It's the latest Nobel laureate to sign. Well, I just wanted to highlight something that he said at a speech that he gave last week. So let's just have a look at what he said here. The popular narrative about climate change reflects a dangerous corruption of science that threatens the world's economy and well-being of billions of people. Misguided climate science has metastasized into massive shock journalistic pseudoscience. In turn, the pseudoscience has become a scapegoat for a wide variety of other unrelated ills. It's been promoted and extended similarly by similarly misguided business marketing agents, politicians, journalists, government agencies, and environmentalists. In my opinion, he said, there's no real climate crisis. There is, however, a very real problem with providing a decent standard of living to the world's large population and an associated energy crisis, the latter being unnecessarily exacerbated, what in my opinion is incorrect climate science. He then went on to also highlight this organization, this thing. This is from the Nobel organization itself, and they're calling it the International Panel on the Information Environment. And he has expressed concerns about this because they say that they're modeling this on the IPCC. And what they're saying is that the global source of scientific knowledge about the world's information environment is what they are. They're saying algorithmic manipulation, bias, hate speech, misleading information, deep fakes, and other acts have created global information environment crisis and an existential threat to humanity. So David, I'd be interested to get your thoughts on, first of all, his comments, but also this organization, because, of course, this begins to sound like an effort to control the narrative that he is, or at least take control or make sure that the narrative that he's highlighting, the narrative that he is criticizing, is maintained.
Well, firstly, on his comments, they were absolutely spot on and really quite magnificent in that they got to the heart of the matter, which is this is a lie that will make people poorer and will drive people to desperation all across the world. And the nature of the errors that are being built in to government policy all across the world, once again, are so severe that the implications are that the huge improvement we've seen in worldwide living standards, in escaping absolute poverty over the last 50 years, they might go into reverse. This is very serious indeed, and he absolutely nails it. It was a very good, very concise summary of the problem. As far as the IPIE is concerned, that sounds like the single source of truth that Jacinda Ardern was claiming to be during COVID. Is that not? We are the arbiters of what is right and what is wrong. We say what is sayable. Is that what that is going to be?
It sounds very like it to me. So if we're talking about information in the information environment and so on, let's look at some information. This is Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit. Climate extremes like this summer's heat waves threaten UK imports from Mediterranean, is what they're saying. And they are offering an analysis of the extent of UK food imports from the Mediterranean region, which shows the scale of the threat, which increasingly severe climate impacts pose to UK food security. Now, my question, David, is where does this threat to impact, this threat to UK food security coming from? So if we just put that back on screen for a second, here is a quote from Gareth Redmond-King, who's the head of international program at this organization. And he's saying, the heat wave we've seen in Europe this summer in April would be all but impossible without climate change. Now, I realize that's going to make you laugh, and I can see you laughing in the background. We'll come on to get your thoughts on this in a second. He went on to say we can't simply grow our way out of the problem by producing many of these foods in the UK. Well, that's true, but not for the reason that he's suggesting. He goes on to say, the only surefire way to avoid even worse and more dangerous impacts is to keep global temperature rises to 1.5 degrees C, and the only way to do that is to cut our emissions to net zero. Now, the reason I say that he is talking nonsense here in a sense is because, of course, it's nothing to do, the food insecurity issue with the UK has nothing to do with the climate. It is everything to do with government policy with respect to farming, and particularly with respect to climate change, because the Sustainable Farming Programme rolls on apace, and in the meantime, farmers are being encouraged to not produce food in this country. We've got the Sustainable Farming Initiative, we've got local nature recovery, landscape recovery. This is all about bringing arable farming and meat farming, returning that land back to what is perceived by the net zero crowd as nature. But let's have a look, if we look at this organization, the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, look at their advisory board. And well, first name that I see there is Tom Bradshaw, who's from the National Farmers Union. Now, many farmers say that he is pushing the climate change agenda extremely hard. He's doing so to the detriment of the farming industry. Let's see who else is on here. There's Lord Krebs, Andrea Leadsom, the former leader of the House, Lord Howard, the former Tory leader. We've got Rear Admiral Neil Morissetti on there as well. So these are the people that are deciding what our climate policy should be, and so on. So, David, just as before you move into Winchester Council, just what are your final thoughts on that?
The problem with farming in the UK is very much one of government policy, and the government policy is now turning against farming and against productive use of land, as it is in Holland, as it is in many places across the globe, where we're seeing nonsense like growing things for fuel, where we could actually get the fuel from elsewhere. And this is, we can get away with this while there's relative plenty, but you add into this the attack on, for example, international shipping that is inherent in the net zero plans, and it may well be that food security does in fact become challenged. And food security in less affluent countries than Great Britain will most certainly be challenged, because we're going to see the reduced use of fertilizer, reduced use of automated equipment, as these items become frowned upon for ideological reasons. And this will mean people will suffer.
Yes, indeed. But also, as I say, the returning of land, the renaturization, the rewilding, as the term is,